After finishing his playful activities, our hero Rakudo tends to his aunt girl Ria, who is recovering and now able to eat with a spoon. Rakudo no longer needs to transfer food through kisses. Moving on to Reina, she desires to be fed by her lover. Rakudo accommodates her on his lap, making her feel a bit shy. When questioned, he explains it's because she's short, making it easier to feed her this way. Mia and Natsumi seek the same treatment, convincing Rakudo to do so. They eagerly open their mouths for a treat, but just then, Remina walks in. Observing the situation, Remina misinterprets Rakudo's actions, thinking his intrusive thoughts are taking over. Rakudo calmly asks if she needs something. Remina explains a problem with a coffee shop run by her friend, losing customers due to a new store nearby. Rakudo, eager to help, wants to take action immediately, but Remina advises against impulsiveness. Rakudo, unable to ignore a request from a pretty girl like Romina, insists on addressing the issue promptly, causing Remina to blush. Following their decision to assist, Rakudo and his harem hastily head to the coffee shop, meeting Remina's friend, a cat girl named Tiana. Inquiring about the newcomers, Tiana learns they're there to help. Remina introduces Rakudo and his harem as the ones who will assist in resolving the coffee shop's issues. Tiana, however, seems familiar with Rakudo, labeling him as a playboy who enjoys being involved with multiple girls simultaneously. Uncomfortable, Rakudo defends himself, clarifying that he hasn't played with all the girls he knows. Tiana remains unbothered, casually mentioning Remina's praises for Rakudo, particularly after he visited her store. This causes a bit of awkwardness for Remina, but similar sentiments about Rakudo from the other girls diffuse any tension. Despite the momentary distraction, Rakudo focuses on the task at hand and engages Tiana in a conversation about the challenges she's facing. Tiana reveals her past as an adventurer, expressing that her dream was always to open a coffee shop. Through hard work and savings, she managed to turn her dream into reality. The coffee shop, once thriving, faced a formidable challenge in the form of a competitor. The issue at hand for Tiana was that the rival store distributed numerous flyers and priced their entire menu significantly lower. Unable to compete, Tiana was losing her customers to this new adversary, causing visible distress. Concerned about the situation, Rakudo queries Tiana if she has ever visited the opposing store. Tiana, shocked, insists she would never do such a thing. Rakudo, pragmatic as ever, advises her to study the competition to understand their strategies. Recognizing the validity of his suggestion, Tiana reluctantly agrees to visit the rival store and investigate further. Accompanied by Rakudo and the harem girls, they arrive at the competitor's establishment and take a table. The bustling place hints at its success, and when the waitress presents the menu, Rakudo is astonished to find that the prices are half of what Tiana offers. In disbelief, he questions the waitress about how the coffee shop manages to offer such competitive prices. The waitress explains that the low prices are part of a promotional offer to commemorate the opening of the coffee shop, but she provides no definite timeline for the promotion. Rakudo, sensing something amiss, questions the legality of selling products at such low prices in the country. Reina informs him that sellers have the freedom to set their prices, adding to Rakudo's concern. The harem girls notice Rakudo's change in mood and inquire about it. He expresses his belief that selling goods at such low prices is a criminal act. His statement catches the attention of another cat girl, who enters the scene, asserting that Rakudo shouldn't label her a criminal. She sees nothing wrong with the coffee shop's strategy and claims that the promotion's duration is undecided, implying it could continue indefinitely. The cat girl reveals the ulterior motive behind the low prices, to drive other stores out of business, including Tiana's coffee shop. Once competitors are eliminated, the new store can dictate prices without any constraints. This revelation adds a layer of complexity to the challenge Tiana faces. Reina expresses her dismay upon hearing Camille Felix's sinister plan. As the revelation unfolds, it becomes apparent that Camille is a renowned figure, earning the nickname Emperor of Seasoning for creating a unique cuisine with creative seasoning at the age of 6. Her success in the culinary world has brought her considerable wealth. Camille acknowledges Tiana's unwitting role in her success, explaining that she strategically opened her store next to Tiana's coffee shop to capitalize on the existing foot traffic. She revels in the satisfaction of witnessing defeated individuals coming to her store. Tiana, visibly upset, is moved to tears by this revelation. Undeterred, Rakudo remains focused and decides to order food from Camille's establishment, confusing the other girls. Aware that understanding the competitor's strengths is crucial, Rakudo takes a bite of the first dish. To everyone's surprise, he instantly identifies the secret ingredient as mayonnaise, a revelation that catches Camille off guard, as few in this world are familiar with it. Tiana reluctantly samples the food and concedes that she can't replicate the flavors of Camille's dishes. The wicked cat girl revels in Tiana's admission, relishing the sight of someone acknowledging defeat. Unfazed, Rakudo continues tasting the various dishes, and the next offering is a special pasta soup that Camille whimsically dubs ramen. Upon trying it, Rakudo discerns that it's actually miso ramen, a revelation that suggests a culinary knowledge bridging worlds. Inquisitive, Rakudo queries Reina about Camille's age when she concocted these dishes, learning that she was purportedly 6 years old at the time, as per hearsay. This prompts Rakudo to speculate that Camille might be a reincarnated human from Earth, retaining her memories in the body of a cat girl. It seems to be the only logical explanation at the moment. However, Camille remains fixated on Tiana admitting defeat, her words cutting through the air with coldness. Rakudo, angered by Camille's demeanor, slams the table in frustration. Undeterred, Camille defiantly asserts that nothing will change even if Rakudo were to resort to violence, taunting him as a loser. Unexpectedly, the situation takes an unusual turn. Camille suddenly collapses, landing on the ground. As she does, her behavior takes an unusual turn, and she begins to act strangely, revealing herself to Rakudo. Our hero, Rakudo, has no desire to witness Camille's exposed body. However, it becomes evident that Camille is not in control of her actions. Rakudo is puzzled by the unusual scene and begins to speculate about its cause. His attention is drawn to Ria, who observes Camille with indifference. Rakudo recalls that Ria's mother possessed special powers, leading him to deduce that Ria likely inherited the same abilities. This revelation suggests that Ria can read Rakudo's emotions and respond accordingly, explaining the peculiar turn of events. Adding a humorous twist, it turns out that most of Rakudo's thoughts revolve around his harem and their unconventional activities. Despite this, Ria engages in a telepathic chat with Rakudo, expressing a desire to be violated like the other girls in his harem. Before Rakudo can fully process this, Camille scolds him, firmly convinced that he was responsible for her unintended exposure. Despite Rakudo's attempts to deny any involvement, Camille persists in accusing him. Interestingly, Rakudo isn't particularly bothered by Camille's accusation, as he doesn't place much importance on her body. In response, Camille asks him to leave her shop, a request to which Rakudo agrees, deciding to depart with his group of girls. However, Ria, mischievous as ever, plays one final prank on Camille as they make their way out. Amused by the situation, Rakudo bursts into laughter in front of his group of girls. Intrigued, they inquire about what has tickled his funny bone. Rakudo, however, deflects the question and reassures them that everything will be fine for Tiana. Rakudo, having analyzed Camille's culinary secrets, deduces that her dishes heavily rely on seasoning. Being from Japan, he is familiar with the ingredients she uses. Leveraging his status as a summoned human, he plans to utilize chaos magic to gain an advantage over the mischievous cat girl. Recognizing the need for assistance, especially from someone within the shop, Rakudo hopes to uncover the true intentions behind the establishment. In a twist of fate, Cecilia reappears at this crucial moment. Rakudo, in a mocking tone, intentionally mispronounces her name, adding a touch of humor to the unfolding events. Despite Cecilia's attempts to assert her high rank, Rakudo is more interested in whether she frequents Camille's shop. It turns out that Cecilia has a penchant for mayonnaise, making regular visits to the establishment. Recognizing an opportunity, Rakudo takes Cecilia aside and proposes that she taste some dishes, providing honest feedback. Intrigued but curious about why she should assist him, Cecilia questions Rakudo's motives. Rakudo initially claims they are friends, but Cecilia reminds him of her gratitude for his role in defeating the Ant Queen. Initially skeptical of Rakudo's methods, she acknowledges that he proved her wrong and saved the kingdom. Feeling indebted, Cecilia offers her services to Rakudo as an apology, a gesture he accepts. However, Rakudo doesn't let her forget a promise she made to crawl like a dog and lick his feet if he succeeded in destroying the ant nest. Cecilia tries to evade the pledge, feigning forgetfulness, but Rakudo playfully mocks her noble stature. Despite this amusing distraction, Rakudo refocuses on his mission and presents the dishes for the girls to taste, steering the narrative back to the primary goal. Everyone at the gathering takes a bite of the first sample. Most of the girls enjoy the taste, except for Cecilia, who finds it problematic. Despite acknowledging the amazing flavor, she insists it tastes like garbage compared to the food at Camille's place. Rakudo playfully smacks her for crossing the honesty limit. After a light-hearted discussion, they collectively agree that Tiana's food still doesn't measure up to Camille's. Rakudo realizes the scarcity of fatty food in this world and decides to make mayonnaise, a simple yet instant hit. The girls are curious about his intentions as he lists the ingredients and proceeds to create a bowl of mayonnaise before them. Recognizing its similarity to Camille's, Rakuto suggests Tiana incorporate it into her dish. Pleased, Tiana has other motives in mind. Impressed by Rakuto's cooking, she gets close and requests him to do it again for her. The other girls notice and accuse Tiana of being shady, but she successfully explains herself, and even Rakuto sees no issue with it. Mia playfully teases Tiana, suggesting she engage in lewd activities with Rakuto, causing some uneasiness for Tiana. However, the other harem girls assure her that it's all in good fun and perfectly acceptable if she desires it. Blushing, Tiana clarifies she wasn't thinking of anything like that. She just wanted to cook with Rakuto in the kitchen. Rakuto comforts her by rubbing her head and calling her cute. Motivated by this encouragement, Tiana uses the mayonnaise to create a dish for everyone to try. Even Cecilia, who had reservations earlier, takes a bite. This time, the dish is outstanding, and Cecilia seems to be particularly delighted, vividly imagining the noodles around her. Ria, with her mind-reading abilities, captures Cecilia's thoughts and telepathically sends a mental screenshot to Rakuto. Upon seeing Cecilia's explicit fantasy, Rakuto is taken aback but brushes it off, appreciating that she's enjoying the meal. Cecilia finally speaks up, describing the dish as violently delicious, comparing it to being entangled in tentacles. Rakuto makes a funny face, realizing she just described her earlier fantasy. Despite the amusing revelation, the crucial point is that the dish is deemed good enough to compete against Camille's culinary skills. The other girls sample the food and share Camille's sentiments. However, a new hurdle emerges: the pricing. Tiana's offerings are priced too low for Camille to compete with. Luckily, Rakuto proposes an alternative. Intrigued, the girls eagerly await his suggestion. Rakuto's idea, a maid cafe, inspired by Japanese tradition. While the concept is novel to the girls, Rakuto is confident in its potential. He envisions the cafe as a place where they'll serve customers while dressed as maids, offering games and unique services. Despite their initial uncertainty, the girls agree to give it a try, with Natsumi volunteering to be the first to learn. To introduce them to the concept of maid service, Rakuto dresses up as a maid himself, charming the girls with his new look. Natsumi, especially delighted, engages in role play with him. As they play along, Rakuto asks Natsumi what she'd like to eat, to which she responds that anything is fine by her side. Our hero, Rakuto, decides to delight Natsumi with a heart-shaped omelet, accompanied by charming words that make her swoon with love. The other girls begin to understand the appeal of Rakuto's suggestion for the maid cafe. Meanwhile, Reina is taken aback by the sudden curvy change in Rakuto's body, unaware that he's using magical pads. Curious, she wonders if the food can also give her a kavuya figure, and Rakuto, for fun, plays along. Cecilia, watching from the background, grows jealous of Rakuto's attention to the other girls. Frustrated, she scolds him for ignoring her and reluctantly agrees to be treated as well. As Rakuto tends to all his harem girls, making them fall more in love with him, Cecilia reaches her limit. She calls Rakuto a fool and storms out of the place. Initially choosing not to follow her, Rakuto stays with the other girls, reasoning that he already has plenty of company. However, Cecilia returns, demanding to know why he isn't chasing after her. Rakuto calmly reveals he anticipated her reaction. Changing back to his true form, Reina expresses disappointment at the deception, but the girls collectively realize the importance of the maid dress in boosting sales. As the group discusses plans for the maid cafe, Rakuto muses aloud about making the maid dresses more aesthetically pleasing. Unbeknownst to him, the harem girls overhear and promptly call him out for being shady. Unfazed, Rakuto defends his right to have intrusive thoughts. Cecilia, however, deems his comments creepy and attempts to turn the girls against him. To her surprise, Natsumi boldly claims to have given herself to Rakuto for unspeakable acts, and the other girls admit to enjoying their intimate moments with him. Shocked, Cecilia accuses Rakuto of leading everyone down a shady path. Undeterred, Rakuto expresses his desire to dress Cecilia as a maid too. Initially hesitant, Cecilia inquires about the outfit, only to be taken aback when Rakuto suggests a slave maid collar. Despite her discomfort, Rakuto insists that being a slave maid is the highest level, as people love being served by them. Still finding it senseless, Cecilia remains skeptical. Undeterred, Rakuto contemplates one last resort to convince her. With Cecilia reluctantly taking on the role of a slave maid due to her noble status, attention turns to the other girls' outfits. Reina, feeling a bit reserved about the maid costume, hesitates to try it on, particularly because she perceives herself as less curvy than the other girls. Fearing she might look like a skeleton, Reina becomes self-conscious, surprising the harem girls. In an attempt to boost everyone's confidence, Natsumi suggests a competition. She proposes that the girls dress as nicely as possible, and whoever manages to excite Rakuto the most will spend an entire day with him for unspeakable acts. Motivated by this prospect, all the girls, including Cecilia, are eager to work as maids. However, Reina still struggles with body image concerns. Rakuto, attempting to lift Reina's spirits, tells her she has beautiful skin, inadvertently making her feel worse about her body. Realizing his mistake, Rakuto manages to win Reina over by expressing genuine excitement to see her in a maid outfit. Reina, wanting to please Rakuto, agrees to dress as a maid, prompting Rakuto to control himself and avoid making any further hurtful comments. As the girls dress up in their maid costumes, Reina presents Rakuto with a special bracelet that can emit various energies based on the wearer's pulse. It has the power to change anything, even the essence of nature. The bracelet is placed on Rakuto to gauge his reactions, allowing the girls to assess his excitement as they showcase their maid outfits. The prize for the winner is exclusive access to Rakuto for a day, and he agrees to the competition. The first contender, Ria, dresses up as a schoolgirl and serves Rakuto a steak. Despite cutting the steak skillfully, Ria makes an odd face, causing concern for Rakuto. However, she recovers, feeds him a bite, flirts briefly, and concludes with a quick kiss before her turn ends. Ria, unable to cheat, steps away, leaving the stage for the other girls. Next in line is Reina, feeling a bit insecure, but Rakuto lifts her spirits with a compliment. Despite her initial reservations, Reina sits down with Rakuto. In an unexpected turn, Reina shifts the conversation to various strategies to outshine Camille's shop. Rakuto encourages her to focus on getting him excited, but Reina is content with him calling her cute, considering it a victory in itself. After Reina's turn, Rakuto shifts the focus to creating a popular menu, suggesting a kid's menu because children tend to order the same things repeatedly. Confused, Reina questions why adults can't enjoy the same simplicity. This prompts Rakuto to rethink the concept, eventually deciding to rename it the variety menu, accessible after collecting 15 different flags. To enhance its appeal, he suggests including an electric Pikachu toy, a proposition met with agreement from the girls. Cecilia follows Reina, proudly declaring herself a slave maid. However, Rakuto notices her outfit isn't quite right and instructs her to remove some clothing to fit the role. Initially resistant, Cecilia portrays herself as a victim, but Rakuto asserts that, as her master, she must adhere to his commands. He emphasizes the importance of her service over her life. Cecilia argues against the unconventional request, but Rakuto playfully taunts her, leading her to reluctantly comply. With the outfit adjusted, Rakuto asks Cecilia what service she will provide. She surprises him by suggesting she will tread on him with her bare feet, adding an unexpected twist to the maid cafe's offerings. Rakuto finds himself bewildered by Cecilia's revelation, as she mentions that many men have requested similar actions from her in the past. This revelation leads Rakuto to a disheartening conclusion: Cecilia seems to attract peculiar men, a realization that deeply affects her, causing her to collapse in distress. Despite the unpleasant truth, Rakuto reassures her that everything will be okay. In a glimmer of hope, Cecilia timidly asks Rakuto to introduce her to decent men, only to be met with an immediate refusal, shattering her optimism. Fueled by frustration, Cecilia lashes out at Rakuto, hurling insults before storming out of the room. Following Cecilia's departure, Reina enters the scene, donning an eye-catching ensemble that surpasses everyone else's attire. Even Rakuto struggles to maintain composure, wondering if her flamboyant style extends beyond the current setting. Seating herself beside Rakuto, Reina coyly grasps his arm, expressing her familiarity with adventure and monster slaying. However, she acknowledges the need to embrace a more provocative persona, proposing the use of bread to spice things up. Admitting her lack of expertise, she hesitates to fulfill Rakuto's desires. Fortunately, Rakuto assumes control of the situation, skillfully flirting with Reina in a manner that overwhelms her with excitement. Unable to withstand the intensity, Reina succumbs to unconsciousness, leaving Rakuto bewildered by the unexpected turn of events. With Remina's part concluded, Rakuto now faces the remaining candidates, Natsumi and Mia. Mia, adorned in an even more daring outfit than Reina, greets Rakuto with romantic gestures that even the charismatic playboy finds hard to resist. Curious about her risque attire, Rakuto questions Mia, who explains that it's all to please him. Mia, eager to pamper her lover boy, prepares a special breakfast, crafting a mayonnaise sandwich for him. Although Rakudo initially suggests a different kind of mayonnaise, he eventually accepts the sandwich and enjoys it. Mia, pleased with his reaction, surprises Rakudo by expressing her desire to be his seventh wife. Confused by the unconventional proposal, Rakudo questions Mia's choice, but she explains that the title matters less to her than being his wife, preferring it over being a mistress. Despite Rakudo's lack of understanding about the distinction, he agrees, prompting Mia to joyfully embrace him and profess her love. As Mia's turn concludes, Rakudo anticipates a moment of respite. However, before Natsume's arrival, Ria unexpectedly enters the room, seeking a kiss from Rakudo. Sensing Ria's potential jealousy after witnessing the flirting with Mia, Rakudo tactfully suggests taking it slow with a kiss, emphasizing that it would technically be her first. However, Ria surprises him by revealing that she has already experienced multiple kisses from Rakudo, albeit in the context of sharing food. Rakudo clarifies that the feeding process is different from a romantic kiss, but Ria insists that she could feel warmth and affection during those moments. Undeterred, she decides to go for a proper kiss, marking her first one. Rakudo, unsure of the consequences of his actions, witnesses Ria declaring her love before she walks away. As Rakudo contemplates the situation, Natsume enters the room, donning a strikingly spicy maid costume, signaling that there is more excitement yet to unfold. Rakudo finds himself captivated by Natsume's appearance, unable to look away. Uncomfortable with his prolonged gaze, Natsume requests him not to stare for too long, feeling shy in her revealing outfit. However, Rakudo's mind is filled with impure thoughts, prompting him to sneak a quick peek. Shocked by his behavior, Natsume reasons with herself, acknowledging Rakudo's status as an overpowered fighter. Rakudo justifies his actions by asserting that he's only doing it because Natsume is cute, emphasizing that he is now her master, not her lover. Natsume complies and sits next to him, but Rakudo's inability to control himself leads to an explicit encounter. To maintain discretion, Rakudo employs a device to soften Natsume's voice during their intimate moments, aware that the other girls are present. After a series of encounters, it's time to declare the winner, and Natsume emerges victorious by a significant margin, as evidenced by the bracelet that had exploded due to Rakudo's passion. Despite Reina acknowledging Natsume's superiority, she scolds Rakudo for attributing his favoritism to something as unconventional as ear cleaning, expressing disbelief at his choice. Natsume, not content with just cleaning Rakudo's ears, had gone further, causing Reina to feel upset. Rakudo attempted to clarify that it was merely a playful act, but Reina remained perplexed. To resolve the situation, Ria intervened, shedding her garments, leading Reina to panic. Rakudo questioned Ria's involvement, and she explained that it was the easiest solution. Rakudo realized he needed to prove his point and pulled out an ear cleaner, approaching Reina. Anxious, Reina feared he might do something inappropriate, but Rakudo surprised her by using the tool to clean her ears. Enjoying the experience, Reina wanted the other side done too, and Rakudo obliged. With Reina content, Natsume, victorious in the challenge, now had the opportunity to make a request from Rakudo. Instead, she expressed her love for him and requested to stay by his side forever. Impressed, Rakudo asked Natsume if she was ready to follow him. Confused, Natsume didn't understand, prompting Rakudo to confirm that she would only serve him and no one else. The gesture of Natsume pledging her devotion to Rakudo prompts the other girls to express their desire to be with him forever as well. They insist that Rakudo shouldn't dress up as a maid and serve at the cafe. Instead, they decide to find others to assist Tiana with her work. Moving on to the next plan, Rakudo carries Natsume on his back and leaps towards the monster ant colony, where he is now regarded as the king after defeating the queen ant. Another ant girl greets him, and Rakudo explains the situation, seeking assistance for the cafe. Emphasizing the need for basic skills and common sense to avoid problems, Rakudo requests some ant soldiers. After a moment of thought, the ant girl agrees to provide some of her best individuals for the job. Rakudo clarifies that he wants reliable people, and the ant girl mentions Ria's name. Suddenly, a new ant girl named Saruka appears, seemingly eager to meet Ria. Confused, Rakudo seeks an explanation from the ant girl, who introduces Saruka as the new addition to the team. Saruka was specifically designed to serve as Ria's main bodyguard, programmed to be fiercely loyal to the king of the ants, Rakudo. This ensures that Rakudo can trust Saruka to carry out her duties without causing any trouble. However, the reason Saruka hadn't met Ria until now was because ant soldiers couldn't leave the forest without the king's permission. Rakudo realizes he needs to grant Saruka permission if he wants to utilize her abilities for the maid cafe. Contemplating this decision, Rakudo seeks advice from Natsume. She expresses how awful she would feel if denied the chance to be with her lover and starts crying at the mere thought. Despite Rakudo's attempts to calm her, Natsume's exaggerated emotional reaction prompts him to consider the feelings of the other girls. Eventually, he decides to allow Saruka and her guards to accompany him. Entering the maid cafe where Ria is relaxing with Mia, the Ant Girl squad is overjoyed to see their mistress. Ria, curious about the new additions, approaches them. However, Saruka's excitement leads her to pounce on Ria, prompting Ria to use her powers to bring a swift end to the exuberant display, slamming Saruka to the ground. Impressed by Ria's powers, Rakudo watches as Saruka interprets Ria's actions as loneliness, leading her to attack. However, Ria dismisses the notion, prompting teasing from the Ant Girl squad who claim she's not being honest. Seeking refuge, Ria hides behind Rakudo, making him question if letting the Ant Girls in was the right choice. With everything set for the maid cafe, the scene shifts to Camille. The next morning, she is surprised to wake up to the sounds of pretty girls and discovers the harem dressed as maids outside her window. Camille wonders how they know about maid cafes, perplexed by the unexpected turn of events and contemplating ways to make Rakudo regret what he did to her earlier. The maid cafe opens to a bustling start, attracting numerous customers right from the beginning. The Ant Girls seamlessly join the squad, efficiently managing orders from customers. Tiana, now back in business, skillfully prepares all the dishes. Rakudo is pleased to witness the effectiveness of the Ant Girl squad. In the midst of the busy atmosphere, Reina arrives and commends her lover for executing such a grand plan. Rakudo, dedicated to his service, asks her what she would like to have. Reina, caught up in his charm, quickly requests the variety meal. Despite Rakudo's assurance that she'll receive flags and a Pikachu toy, Reina insists she's only there for a meal. However, her actions reveal it's just a charade, as she happily takes the toy with her. The seemingly perfect plan unfolds, but trouble emerges in the form of rowdy men led by a bald leader. The group forcefully enters the maid cafe, questioning the establishment's popularity due to its staff and customers being beast people. Their intention is to cause a disturbance, but Rakudo, familiar with such scenarios, instructs the girls to stand back and allows him to handle the situation. Approaching the gang, Rakudo politely inquires about how he can be of assistance. The men, lacking in manners, complain about the scent of beasts in the cafe. The bald leader audaciously demands compensation for the supposed olfactory offense, but Rakudo, undeterred, refuses to be intimidated by such tactics. In fact, Rakudo mocks the bald leader and effortlessly incapacitates all his accomplices with a single punch. The bald leader, taken aback, wonders at Rakudo's unexpected prowess. Our hero casually reveals that he is the butler of the establishment and, surprisingly, he was being considerate with his actions toward the men. Rakudo then claims to be employing persuasion physics, but it's evident that he's relying on straightforward violence. Dismissing the bald leader, Rakudo instructs him to leave, but the man attempts to assert his rank, introducing himself as Kosis from Rindasu and warning Rakudo not to touch him. Unfazed by the status name, Rakudo reveals his intimidating side to Kosis. Faced with the unexpected resistance, the bald leader hastily retreats with his men, putting an end to the disruptive incident at the maid cafe. With the recent disturbance at the cafe handled, Rakudo addresses the patrons and receives a round of applause. However, the situation takes a serious turn when Tiana questions Kosa's claim of being from Rindasu, a notorious group known for extorting money by robbing ships. Rakudo confirms the statement, leaving Tiana uneasy. Despite reassurance that their toughest fighter is only a mid-B rank threat, the timing suggests a possible involvement of a jealous Camille. Realizing there's no time to waste, Rakudo decides to personally confront the Rindasu army. Tiana expresses concern, but Rakudo, confident that dealing with them swiftly is the best approach, jokes that it's all happening because the maid cafe is making good money. The girls are pleased to see Rakudo in high spirits, but he insists that Natsume should go inside the cafe and rest. He explains that she'll be in the way during the upcoming confrontation with Kaso and his goons. Despite Natsume thinking he's being mean, Rakudo asserts that he's only speaking the truth out of concern for his harem girls. Meanwhile, in the Rindasu group's ship, Kaso briefs his boss on the events at the maid cafe involving Rakudo. Intrigued by Rakudo's reputation as a worthy opponent, the boss recognizes the need to fulfill the paid job while acknowledging the challenge ahead. She summons her sea dragon, Sildra, with the intention of sinking their opponents. Arriving at the maid cafe, she dismounts from the dragon and presents herself as a cute girl. Rakudo, unable to conceal his curiosity, stares at her as she attempts to assert dominance. Instead of responding as expected, he admits to being busy looking at her body, which infuriates the pirate girl. Undeterred, Rakudo focuses on discussing the confrontation with Kaso and his men. The pirate girl, attempting to mock Rakudo, questions if he's going to cry and declares that he cannot challenge the wind and rain. Unfazed, Rakudo cuts to the chase. The pirate girl retaliates by summoning a mercurial ray storm, initiating the impending confrontation. Believing she has the advantage after summoning the attack, the pirate girl confidently asks Rakudo if he's ready to surrender. Unaware of Rakudo's true abilities, she receives a swift demonstration as he effortlessly punches her through the tornado, incapacitating her instantly. Facing defeat, the pirate girl surrenders, recognizing the folly of underestimating her opponent. Acknowledging her mistake, she humbly bows to Rakudo and pleads for forgiveness, promising to refrain from such actions in the future. Rakudo, amused by her sudden change in demeanor after her earlier bravado, continues to taunt her. Pressing further, he demands to know who ordered the attack on the maid cafe. Despite her reluctance to reveal the client's identity due to credit issues, Rakudo deduces that someone else orchestrated the assault on Tiana's store. As the pirate girl tries to justify her actions, Rakudo considers how to punish her. Succumbing to his intrusive thoughts once again, he provocatively suggests she reveal her pirate body. Uncomfortable with the request, the pirate girl hesitates, prompting Rakudo to hint at alternative forms of punishment. Following Rakudo's bold suggestion, the pirate girl reluctantly complies, allowing him an unabashed view. Anxious to be released from the situation, she hopes to settle matters quickly. Rakudo, unfazed by the awkwardness, casually asks for the money she owes before allowing her to leave. Surprised by Rakudo's shamelessness, the pirate girl is taken aback. Rakudo, ever the provocateur, proposes that she can pay with her body if she lacks the cash. Choosing the more conventional route, the pirate girl opts to pay with money. Rakudo, curious about her situation, discovers that this is a first-time occurrence for her. Playfully, he inquires if she's looking for a boyfriend. The pirate girl confesses a preference for strong individuals with masculine hands, prompting Natsumi to join the scene and vouch for Rakudo fitting that description. Despite the pirate girl claiming she wants someone kind and not shady like Rakudo, Natsumi asserts that Rakudo is only strict in public, emphasizing his kindness and gentleness in private with his harem girls. Rakudo, in a seemingly kind gesture, pats the pirate girl's head, causing her to blush. Overwhelmed by shyness, she hurries away from the scene, avoiding any further interaction. With the immediate issue resolved, Rakudo is displeased with Natsumi for putting herself in danger by leaving the maid cafe. Natsumi explains that she only wanted to surprise her lover boy but acknowledges that she went against his orders. Rakudo, wanting to address the issue, asks Natsumi to lend him her ear. Misinterpreting the request, Natsumi amusingly begins to undress, thinking this is how Rakudo likes girls to apologize. Realizing the misunderstanding, Rakudo clarifies that he isn't angry at her. Relieved, Natsumi is glad to hear this. However, Rakudo follows up with a request for her to bring him a whetstone, diverting the conversation away from the amusing misinterpretation. Natsumi was puzzled by Rakudo's request for a specific item, prompting him to divulge his plan to use it in questioning Camille. He harbored a strong suspicion that the sinister feline girl orchestrated the pirate attack, yet he deemed it imperative to gather concrete evidence before confronting her. Prior to embarking on their latest mission, Tiana urged caution, a testament to the gravity of their undertaking. Despite Natsumi's inner turmoil, grappling with the moral ambiguity and potential illegality of their actions, Rakudo remained resolute, convinced of the righteousness of their cause. Sneaking covertly into the shop under the veil of nightfall, Rakudo adeptly picked the lock, justifying the necessity of such clandestine maneuvers given Camille's anticipated evasiveness during daylight hours. As the lock yielded to Rakudo's skillful manipulation, Natsumi couldn't suppress her trepidation, grappling with the possibility of Camille's innocence. Rakudo, however, exuded unwavering confidence, prepared to extend a sincere apology should their suspicions prove unfounded, his steadfast belief in the power of face-to-face communication unshaken. Once inside, Rakudo's keen eyes identified Camille's chamber, conspicuously labeled, prompting him to assertively breach the door. The sudden intrusion startled Camille, her expression betraying surprise mingled with apprehension. Meanwhile, Tiana, observing from afar, grappled with her own mounting anxiety, acutely aware of the precariousness of their predicament. Rakudo, undeterred by Camille's reprimand for his forceful entry, wastes no time in addressing the pressing matter at hand. He confronts her directly about the pirates who had visited the maid cafe earlier, alleging that they claimed to have received orders from her. Camille's facade wavers slightly, betraying a hint of unease at the accusation. However, she adopts an air of innocence, vehemently denying any association with the alleged perpetrators and feigning ignorance of their identities. Refusing to accept her denial at face value, Rakudo persists, invoking the name Rindasu in an attempt to unsettle her further. Camille maintains her stance of ignorance, prompting Rakudo to question the credibility of the pirate's claims. Undeterred, Camille shifts gears, assuming a more antagonistic demeanor, suggesting that the pirates may harbor jealousy towards her success and fabricated the accusations to tarnish her reputation. Unmoved by her deflection, Rakudo remains skeptical, dismissing her explanations as absurd. Camille, however, brazenly challenges him, insinuating that even if he were to take action against her, he would lack the evidence to substantiate the pirate's allegations. She taunts him, labeling him a fool and urging him to exercise logic. Despite her provocations, Rakudo maintains his composure, signaling the onset of a compelling exchange of wits between the two adversaries. Rakudo produces a whetstone and requests Camille's cooperation in touching it with her fingers. Perplexed by his request, Camille seeks clarification, but Rakudo insists, urging her to indulge him. Reluctantly, she complies, unaware of the significance of her action. With the task accomplished, Rakudo directs Natsumi to retrieve additional items for further analysis of the whetstone. Visuals begin to manifest on the stone's surface, prompting Camille to inquire about their meaning. Seizing the opportunity, Rakudo quizzes Camille on her knowledge of fingerprint analysis. She posits a theory involving chemical substances, but Rakudo refutes her assumption, instead revealing the simplicity of using powder for the task. Demonstrating his point, he applies the powder to the whetstone, unveiling Camille's own fingerprints to her astonishment. The revelation doesn't end there. Rakudo unveils the coins previously received from the pirate girl, showcasing the fingerprints imprinted upon them. As suspected, they match Camille's, serving as damning evidence of her culpability. Rakudo taunts her, questioning how her fingerprints ended up on coins utilized as payment to the pirates. Despite her feeble attempt to dismiss it as a coincidence, Rakudo highlights the presence of her prints on multiple coins, debunking any notion of happenstance. Natsumi's relief washes over her as she realizes Rakudo's innocence regarding the pirate girl's coins, absolving him of any implication of greed. Yet, Rakudo, ever candid, admits he would have accepted the coins regardless, prompting Natsumi to playfully demand a kinder remark from him for once. Meanwhile, Camille, thoroughly humiliated and cornered by the evidence, concedes to her involvement in orchestrating the pirate attack. In an attempt to justify her actions, she invokes the notion of adventurers wielding unchecked power, arguing that she, too, should be entitled to manipulate others with her wealth. Rakudo's anger simmers at her callous justification, prompting him to approach her with a raised hand. However, Camille's anticipated punishment takes an unexpected turn. Rather than resorting to violence, Rakudo surprises everyone by lifting her onto his lap, intending to administer a light-hearted spanking. What follows is a comical exchange, bordering on the absurd, even eliciting amusement from Natsumi, though she finds it a tad excessive. In the midst of the absurdity, Rakudo admonishes Camille for her misdeeds, asserting that such consequences were inevitable for her actions. Yet, Camille, defiant to the end, protests that Rakudo cannot comprehend her motivations. Intrigued by Camille's revelation, Rakudo extends an invitation for her to open up about her past. Camille discloses that she endured bullying during childhood, a haunting legacy from her previous life as a boy. Her existence abruptly transformed after a tragic accident, reincarnating her into the form of a cat girl in this world. Rakudo listens attentively, offering empathetic solace and condemning the unjust treatment she endured. Acknowledging the complexity of moving past trauma, Camille confides in Rakudo, revealing that the torment of her past still haunts her dreams. In a display of solidarity, Rakudo shares his own childhood struggles, recounting the trauma of parental abuse that lingers in his memory. Despite their shared pain, Rakudo emphasizes the importance of choosing compassion over retribution, inspiring Camille to consider a path of redemption. Moved by Rakudo's words, Camille resolves to embark on a journey of personal growth. Encouraged by this newfound determination, Rakudo suggests reconciling with Tiana. Surprising Tiana with Camille's unexpected presence, Rakudo extends a gesture of goodwill by requesting her to prepare a meal for the reformed cat girl, marking a pivotal moment of reconciliation and healing. As Camille expresses her desire for a meal prepared exclusively by Tiana, confusion ensues among the group. Tiana is given free rein to choose the dish, with the stipulation that it must be consumed by Camille, regardless of its quality. Recognizing the punitive nature of the request, Tiana reluctantly dispatches an egg to the kitchen, a sight that elicits apprehension from both Natsumi and Camille. Curiosity piqued, Rakuto inquires about the egg, only to learn it's from a wyvern. Amidst the tense cooking process, philosophical musings interject, adding an unexpected layer of depth to the culinary endeavor. Despite the unconventional choice of ingredients, Tiana manages to craft a visually appealing and aromatic dish from the wyvern egg. As the dish is presented to Camille, memories resurface, including one where she consumed ramen from a shoe, offering a peculiar benchmark for comparison. Rakuto, taken aback by the sudden reminiscence, attempts to alleviate the tension by volunteering to share the meal. His gesture surprises Camille, who is touched by his willingness to partake in her punishment. Rakuto's rationale is simple: fairness dictates that they share in both the enjoyment and consequences of the meal together. With this gesture, he not only demonstrates solidarity but also embodies the spirit of empathy and camaraderie, bridging the gap between them and fostering a sense of unity within the group. As all three of them take a bite of the wyvern egg, they're pleasantly surprised to find it surprisingly delicious. Tiana reveals the secret behind its flavor, explaining that when cooked conventionally, the egg tastes awful, but with the right spices and preparation, it becomes a culinary delight. This revelation prompts reflection on the resilience and adaptability required of adventurers when it comes to sustenance. Overwhelmed by their unexpected kindness, Camille expresses her confusion, questioning why they would extend such generosity, especially considering her past behavior. Tiana clarifies that her intention was merely to startle Camille with the unusual meal, but now, with Camille's commitment to change, there's no reason for resentment. Filled with remorse, Camille offers a heartfelt apology to everyone present, acknowledging her past transgressions. Rakuto, recognizing the transformative power of compassion over punishment, feels gratified by the positive resolution. With harmony restored, life returns to normal at the maid cafe, albeit with lingering dissatisfaction among the harem girls regarding Rakuto's divided attention. Mia's longing for Rakuto's embrace leads her to seek solace in Natsume's presence, sparking further tension among the harem members. Saruka's clumsy attempts to intervene only exacerbate the situation, raising doubts about her suitability as a bodyguard. As uncertainties loom, the question remains: what lies ahead for our hero? Will he forge a deeper connection with Camille amidst the complexities of his romantic entanglements? Only time will tell as Rakuto navigates the intricacies of love and adventure in his journey forward. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this chapter of our story. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive notifications when the next installment, Part 3, is uploaded. Thank you for joining us on this adventure, and I'll see you soon.